Bienvenue tout le monde. Can you fix that noise? Can you hear that noise? It's a humming noise, okay. Bienvenue, welcome everyone to our TNO meeting tonight on June 15th. And we're going to begin, first of all, with a resolution for the opening and attendance, moved by Councillor Spence. All those in favor, opposed, and I'd like to make an announcement that we are continuing, even though we are no longer meeting to observe COVID rules. We are still recording these meetings and we are on Facebook Live. So I'd like to welcome our Facebook Live audience, the people of the Pontiac. And this recording will be available tomorrow on the website of the MRC. Number 3. The declaration use of language of your choice. L'importance pour les membres du conseil régional et les autres participants à la séance de s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix. Au besoin, il y aura la présence sur place d'une ressource de la MRC pour assurer une traduction. I'd like to reiterate the importance for regional council members and other participants in the sitting to express themselves freely in the language of their choice. If necessary, a resource of the MRC will be available to ensure translation. And number 4, the statement or the déclaration de la préfète. Nous sommes élus par les gens de Pontiac pour les représenter au mieux de nos capacités. Ils s'attendent à ce que nous menions nos réunions d'une manière professionnelle. J'écouterai très attentivement les débats et les discussions de cette réunion et si j'entends des paroles négatives ou des critiques à l'égard de quelqu'un d'autre, j'arrêterai la réunion et demanderai à cette personne de s'excuser. Je be elected by the Pontiac to represent them to the best of our ability. They expect us to conduct our meetings in a professional and business-like manner. I will be listening very carefully to the debate and discussion in this meeting, and if I hear any words of negativity or criticism of anyone else, I will stop the meeting and ask that person to apologize. Thank you. Before we go on, I realize that I've missed our attendance, so I'm going to take the attendance, and I'd like to welcome in particular 2 pro-mayors. We have the pro-mayor of Otter Lake, Robin Zacharias, and the pro-mayor of Clarendon, Philip Elliott. Welcome. And also I'd like to welcome the members of our audience. Good to see you. And if all goes well, someday there won't be an empty seat in this place, as our meetings are so fascinating and interesting. I also have been asked to mention that refreshments consist of water. Maybe we're on a budget. So members of the public or anyone else seated, Natasha has said there is, are they bottles of water, Natasha, or is this out of the tap? Okay, bottles of water in the kitchen. Thank you. What did you say?
Garden hose.
Oh, garden hose, exactly. All right, so all items, please say present or present. Corey Spence.
Present.
Carl Mayer.
Present.
Brent Orr.
Present.
Alain Gagnon.
Present.
Maurice Beauregard.
Present.
Donnie Gagnon.
Present.
Philip Elliott.
Present.
Christine Francoeur. Jean-Louis Corriveau.
Present.
Robin Zacharias.
Present.
Sandra Armstrong.
Present.
Lynn Cameron. Doug Russell is joining us by Zoom. Are you there, Doug?
I'm present.
Yes. Good for you. Hey, your voice sounds great. Bill McCleary. Doris Ranger. Colleen LaRiviere. Karen Kelly.
Present.
Odette Godin.
Present.
I'm happy to say once again, 100% all 18 municipalities represented. Excellent. Bernard,
Présent.
Annie Vaillancourt, Travis Ladisser,
Présent.
Kim Lesage, Natasha Guillemette,
Present.
Julian Gagnon. Not needed at this meeting. Okay, perfect. Colleen Jones.
Here.
Jason Durand.
Présent.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And now we will go back to the agenda. Number 5. We'll need a resolution for the reading and adoption of the TNO agenda. Could I have a motion moved by Councillor Beauregard? All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. And just to explain to our audience, when it comes to TNO, I am the mayor, and all of our usual mayors are councillors of the TNO. That's why I'm addressing you as a councillor. Number 6, are there any declarations of conflict of interest on this agenda? Okay, seeing none. Number 7, I need a resolution to adopt the minutes of the last sitting in May, moved by Councillor Godin. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Number 8, are there any public questions from our audience about the TNO agenda? About TNO. Probably you're here to discuss the regular sitting, so we'll wait for the next meeting. Okay, any other, no questions? We'll go on. Number 9, questions from the public. Again, this was pertaining to TNO. And Colleen, did we receive any questions on TNO?
No.
Okay, thank you very much, Colleen. We'll go on to number 10, accounts paid. Need a resolution, but first we'll have a report by Annie Vaillancourt. Thank you, Annie.
Okay, so for the TNO this month, we have expenses paid for $49,491.56. There was an expense for the boat washing station, and there was a few expenses as well for road maintenance, and the rest was just regular gas for the vehicles and materials.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions about that report or comments? Okay, could I have you to approve it? Moved by Councillor Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Go on to number 11. And Jason Durand will be presenting a resolution, and this is adoption du 12e projet de règlement 279-2022 du territoire non organisé de lac Milgo afin d'autoriser la villégiature autour des lacs Clair et Brock. Jason?
Hey, bonsoir to everybody. So this is a resolution regarding the adoption of the second draft bylaw concerning the TNO zoning. So in other words, to permit the resort leases at Lac Brock and Clear Lake. Donc, projet de résolution pour l'adoption du deuxième projet de règlement au niveau du zonage du TNO. Donc, ça, c'est dans le but de permettre là, des beaux villégiatures sur les lacs Brock et Lac Clair.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move the resolution, please? Moved by Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Go on to number 12, Jason, which is a request for financial contribution for the refection of the Lac du Port, 12 kilometers.
Oui, effectivement. Donc, c'est une demande de la ZEC de Rapide des Joachins pour un partenariat financier au niveau de la réfection du chemin du lac du Portail. Dans le fond, c'est le chemin qui fait la limite nord de la ZEC de Rapide. Donc, il y a quand même plusieurs beaux villégiatures qui doivent emprunter ce chemin-là. Donc, c'est un partenariat 50-50. Donc, une demande de 20 000 pour la réfection du chemin. So, it's a partnership with the ZEC of Rapide for the refection of the road that's called Portail Road. It's the northern limit of the ZEC. Partnership 50-50, and they're asking for $20,000 to repair this road.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Councillor Francoeur. All those in favor? Opposed? and that carries. Thank you. And then your final one, number 13, a request for financial aid for the cleaning and digging of ditches on Wright Lake Road.
Oui, effectivement, c'est une autre demande de financement de la part de l'Association des lacs Wright, Colton et Bertrand. Donc, pour de refaire, dans le fond, nettoyer les fossés. C'est une activité qui avait eu lieu l'année passée, donc c'est la continuité. Donc, c'est une demande de 8 000 $. Donc, it's a financial contribution asked by the Association of Lac Wright, Bertrand, and Colton to continue to refresh the ditches to road maintenance. So it's a contribution of $8,000.
Okay, excellent. This must be the construction season up in the TNO.
Yes, pretty much,
Sadly
especially
needed.
with all the rain we have this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Councillor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thanks.
All right.
It's
All right,
an
thank you.
excellent
Merci.
job. Now, to end the meeting, number 14, have a resolution to close the sitting. Moved by Councillor Orr. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Now we go on to our Council of Mayors regular meeting, June 15th. We've taken the attendance. Could we have a resolution to open this? Moved by Mayor LaRiviere. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Number 2, just an announcement that we are recording this meeting, this sitting Facebook Live, so that we can maximize our audience, and we will be anyone can watch the recording of this on the MRC website. Should be posted by tomorrow. Number 3, utilisation de la langue de son choix. Je rappelle l'importance pour les membres du conseil régional et les autres participants à la séance de s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix. Au besoin, il y aura la présence sur place d'une ressource de la MRC pour assurer une traduction. I'd like to reiterate the importance for regional councillors and other participants in the sitting to express themselves freely in the language of their choice. If necessary, a resource of the MRC will be available to ensure translation. Number 4, the statement of the warden or the declaration of decorum. Nous sommes élus par les gens de Pontiac pour les représenter au mieux de nos capacités. Ils s'attendent à ce que nous menions nos réunions d'une manière professionnelle. J'écouterai très attentivement les débats et les discussions de cette réunion et si j'entends des paroles négatives ou des critiques à l'égard de quelqu'un d'autre, j'arrêterai la réunion et demanderai à cette personne de s'excuser. Je vous remercie. We are elected by the people of the Pontiac to represent them to the best of our ability. They expect us to conduct our meetings in a professional and businesslike manner. I will be listening very carefully to the debate and discussion in this meeting, and if I hear any words of negativity or criticism of anyone else, I will stop the meeting and ask that person to apologize. Thank you. Now, to number 5, to read and adopt the agenda, we need a resolution, but we have 2 resolutions to be added. One will be called 14.7, which is an added tax sale in Portage benefit municipality for us to include it today. And also 17.4.4, which is a technical change to the wording of a particular donation that was awarded. Okay. Could I have a resolution to adopt the agenda with those additions? Moved by Mayor Cameron. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. And now number 6. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest on this agenda? No, seeing none. Thank you. We will go on to number 7. We need to adopt the minutes of the last sitting in May. I need a resolution. Moved by Pro Warden Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Presentations. Well, at the Forestry Committee, we were very fortunate to see the long-awaited forest strategy that has been done. We hired an outside consultant, and His name is Eric Forget, and he's actually here today. It's not by Zoom. And would you like to come up here and use this microphone? Or do you want to sit down at a table and sort of look at the
Yeah.
Be around
screen?
there so I can look at the computer. at the
Okay,
same
sure.
time.
And I always got a mic. Thanks, Colleen. Colleen,
But-
how do I turn this off? Is there anything or?
No, you can't turn it off.
Okay, I could just won't talk into it. It's okay. Maybe I'll just introduce this slightly. Just some of our newer mayors and also for members of the public and people watching on Facebook Live. We had a lot of discussions, a lot of votes on forestry in the last term. And before the last term finished, it was determined that we had so many ideas about what we wanted to do with forestry that it was important to have a consultant analyze these things and think about what is practical, what will work, what won't work, and also to kind of put it in some kind of an order so that we can move forward with a plan. And so Eric, your company is Nova Silva, correct?
Yeah.
And can I hope I've got this right. You have worked all across Canada. Have you been in other places, the US?
No.
No, mainly
yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
And basically out west, not just Quebec. And so he has a very good sense of the forest industry. And the forestry committee have what to say. So now it is here, instead of having it at the plenary meeting, we wanted to have it at the public meeting so the public could also hear. And then we will be moving a resolution on this, right, Jason, tonight to formally adopt it and move it forward. Okay, take it away, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me know if you don't hear me very well, or I don't know. Is that, that's okay? Right. Not very used to talking in the mic. So I'm very happy to be here. First of all, like it's been working on several months on that project. So first of all, yeah, I'm a forester. I worked 4 years for the BC Forest Service out west, and then I worked for a community forest in Eastern Township. After that, I worked 7 years as a research scientist in Ripon for the UCO University. In the last 10 years, I've been working for my own company. I co-founded in 2010. So very glad to be here. So the idea is, so if you don't understand something, just let me know right away, but the questions will be, I think at the end will be easier. I think I've got for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we can go with the questions. So as you know, like the forest in the Pontiac, it's a big part of the Pontiac historically, and even today, it's such a huge area with very diversified forests. So, however, like in 2008, like with the closure of Smurfit-Stone, and after that of several other sawmills, and also a couple of years ago with Fortress and Thurso closing down, so that didn't help either. So the benefits to the population of the Pontiac from the forest has been going down. So the idea is take a step back and see what can be done within our control to increase and maximize the benefit of the forest for the people of the Pontiac. So I didn't just look at the logging. I did look at the logging, but not only at the logging, also at every other opportunity that can be done to try to say restart the wheel or try to make things happen. So in the process, I've talked. I recognize many of your faces. I've talked to a lot of people in the process of that project. So in terms of methodology, what I've done first is to look at all the facts. So I tried to get as much information as I could. Then I interviewed a lot of people from government, from companies, mayors, just contractors, promoters. So I tried to get as much information as I could, and the feeling and ideas also from everybody. So after that, I kind of did the analysis and brought that to the step of actions, try to say, decide or recommend what could be done to try to make things happen. So as you know, the Pontiac is 14,000 people for an area of 1.4 million hectares. So it's more than or almost 1 square kilometer per person. So it's a huge area, 18 municipalities. The population is a bit older, 57% of the people are over 45, so a bit older than the average in the province. But it's, yeah, huge area, beautiful area. Here's a map of what's in, like the red line is the MRC Pontiac limits in color. Yeah, in bright colors. It's all the public land, the different forest management units. At the bottom, we see the in green, in the dark green, it's the public land, and then we get the TPI in the, I don't know if you see it in that, here, it's the TPI there in brown. So, like I said, 1.4 million hectares, it's a huge area. In terms of allowable annual cut, it's the volume of timber that can be harvested annually sustainably. So that can be harvested every year and maintain the same forest. So for the period 2018 to 2023, we had 1.3 million hectares that could be harvested a year. And now the chief forester did the new analysis with 2023 to 2028, and the total volume increases because there has been less harvesting. So his calculation concluded that there's more volume, more standing timber, and more volume to be harvested. What's interesting is when you look at the species. So the first column is the spruce and fir. So there's an increase in spruce and fir. Second column is hardwood, an increase also. In pine, mainly white pine, there's a decrease in the, what we call the AEC, the allowable annual cut, and an increase in the poplar. So generally there's an increase in volume, but for the pine, there's a reduction. That's a table of the volume not harvested for the last 5 years, for the last full for 5 years, so 2013 to 2018. So 31% of the volume was not harvested. We know that the mills were closed and all that. So 31% of the volume on public land was not harvested, so below the AEC. On the private land, it's similar, except that it's 16% of the volume that was harvested. So 84% that was not harvested. So we can see that there's a lot of forest, and the forest is growing older, and there's more volume that could be harvested if people at the Pontiac wants it. So first thing I looked at is try to identify what are the critical constraints, what makes the forestry not working right now in the Pontiac. So the first one is a bit obvious, but I think it's very important to understand it, is the fact that there's no market for the hardwood pulp. So we in Pontiac is 44% of the forest that is hardwood dominant. So hardwood, I'm talking hardwood, it's mini maple, birch, beech, ash. So those species are dominating 44% of the stands, and they also in the other stands, they are there. So when you go harvesting on public land, you're always gonna end up with some hardwood. And in every hardwood tree, there's a big part of this pulp. About 60% of the hardwood that you harvest is going to be pulp. And what we know is there's no market for the pulp. So because the forest of the Pontiac is very deciduous, lots of hardwood trees, and there's no market for that pulp wood, it's very difficult to be viable economically. So that's the main problem. Second constraint is the lack of labor. There's opportunity, especially in the last couple of years with the prices going up. There's more harvesting, road construction, hauling, and non-commercial silviculture that is happening. And the industry and the people working, there's a lack of the workforce. There's lack of people working in the forest. So if we think, and eventually some mills going to reopen, there's also like a problem finding people at the mills. So all that together is going to create even a worse problem. So the unemployment rate in Quebec for March 2022 was the lowest ever recorded. So it's pretty obvious that it's not just a problem of the Pontiac, but we need to keep that in mind, that we don't have the same availability of people to work, and forestry work's not easy work also. So we need to make sure we provide good conditions if we want to have people working in the forest and try to restore the wheel. My last critical constraint is the lack of equipment. So things have changed a lot in the last 20 years in terms of harvesting. So we went from manual with skidders, cable skidders, to very mechanized equipment, feather bunchers and harvesters and all that. That required huge investments, and this is difficult to get into. So that's the other problem we have. There's a huge demand right now for all the companies are lacking work contractors in the forest. And one of the problems is the fact that the contractors have difficulty investing in new equipment to be able to do that work. So I've identified like 6 sectors that could be worked on: transformation, the proximity forest, sugar maple production, the TPI, firewood, and recreation and tourism. So I'll go quickly, just identify like the actions and the main points for each of them. So for the transformation sector, as you guys know, there's pretty much one mill that is active right now, the 5 Farah, and there's all kinds of projects for the other mills that are not active right now. We can think about the Commonwealth Plywood one or Davidson. So Ms. Toller is very aware of that and working really hard on getting that restarted. So we need to be realize that those mills are there. There's some investment done in the past, and this is an asset for the region to have those mills, even though they're not active right now. There's also the FIB Pontiac project that's been discussed for the last, 5 or 10 years. It's a good project in the sense that it requires, it would use some pulpwood, but it's a bit of a long shot. So we'll see, you'll see later, like my recommendation is just to keep it on the radar, and because that would be real benefit for the region. And at the same time, it's the ball is not in our hand; it's more in the Realmatic's hand right now. So for the transformation, what I'm saying is continue to search for investors, prioritize the investors who would consume pulpwood, because that's our critical problem. Engage with the forest industry. There are work opportunity in the industry right now. They're very well known, I think, in the region. Even when you talk to government, they tell me there are some contracts and there's nobody wanting to do those contracts for planting or non-commercial thinning, stuff like that. Also need to identify the programs available to support the contractors buy new equipment, and continue to follow the evolution of the Renmatics project. Also proposed a mentoring project that could help contractors start, because it's difficult to start with new equipment and try to be very efficient. So there's some mentoring project in the province that you can support people starting to try to gain efficiency. So that could be done in the TPI too. So that's the main steps for the transformation sector. You guys have probably heard a lot about the proximity forest. So it's the concept was brought in with the new forestry law in 2013. However, there's no policy yet that links that, like to tell us what is the proximity forest really. So the idea was to give back the decision-making power to the regions and try to get the region to get more benefits and expertise from managing the forest. I have to keep in mind that because there's a pilot project right now in the Abitibi, and what they find is it's a lot of paperwork. So they do manage a forest, but they don't necessarily have very much flexibility on the objectives. Like they cannot say we're going to harvest less than what the forest can support. They cannot say we're going to have a new protected area, stuff like that. But they can have implement like a new trail or a new research projects and stuff like that. But it doesn't go very far in terms of flexibility of what can be done. And like the challenge is that here in the deciduous forest, we mainly manage with partial cut means more area to be harvested, means more road, it means more costly management. So it would be difficult to because of the value of the timber paying is pretty much less than the cost of managing the forest. It would be borderline viable. And right now, because we have no market for the pulp, it would make it very difficult. So we need to know what would be the conditions, what would be how government would support those P4 and see if those conditions are viable for us here. So so the main step is to wait for the conclusion of the pilot project. When the policy is known, then verify if it's viable, and then identify like an area that could be used for proximity forests in the region. Sugar maple production. So there was a report that I had done like in 2010 or 2 or something that showed that there was some potential for sugar maple in the region. So there's very few commercial operation in the Pontiac. Government had identified 100,000 hectares for the whole region as potential. That was done by Quebec City. When they brought it in here, they identified something like 2,000 hectares, but none of that, I think they came out with 11 projects and none of those were in the Pontiac. So we need to make sure that in the next step, because they're doing a second round of that, we need to make sure that some of the areas chosen are in the Pontiac to try to start something. So also we could use the TPI as a pilot project and to show that it's feasible and try to gain some expertise in the region to develop commercial sugar production. All that. Yeah, fine. So main step, ensure that the startup projects for the Pontiac are integrated into the phase 2 from government, find best areas to establish new sugar bush, and MRC to develop a structured approach so they can use the TPI to develop the expertise. So Convention de Gestion Territoriale, this is the convention that manages the TPI. So I think it's been going on for over 10 years, Jason, probably more like 15. And so the MRC is managing 10,000 hectares of forest for the last 10, 15 years. What's challenging is the fact, again, that it's hardwood species mainly in the TPI. And we got also, again, the lack of market for the pulp. But that would still be a great opportunity to use that forest to help train people and to develop some expertise in sugar maple production. So this area could be used more to advance the forestry in the Pontiac, even though it's already being managed and all that. So yeah, bottom line is more can be done with that 10,000 hectares managed by the MRC. Firewood, it's a bit of a long shot in a sense, but like there's a lot of demand for firewood in the region. We know we're very close to Ottawa and Elmer and Gatineau. We have a surplus of hardwood species, quality pulp. So everything is there to have like a little industry producing firewood. So I suggest to do a market research on that and see if it would be viable, because that would solve two problems at once. Once it would increase create some job and have some benefit economically. At the same time, it would be beneficial for the other sawmills that could use that could sell the firewood to that industry. So I think that's something very interesting to explore. Recruit tourism. What I recommend there is to identify the opportunity that fit well with the region. So you guys have, I think, a very pristine area. It's very great quality of lakes and forest. That has to be maintained. At the same time, there are some programs right now from government that try to support the development of some of those lakes in terms of recreation and tourism. So without having a negative impact on the forest, there's an opportunity there to have some economic development. So that's it. So in terms of conclusion, I think we need to look like there's nothing really new in this. There's nothing that would be a super magic solution. But I think it's interesting to step back and look at what can be done and put our energy at the right place. So we need to focus on the fact that there's no market for pulpwood. So any projects that we invest energy in should be those that use pulpwood or do not create a bigger problem with that. So I think that's the main conclusion. Keep in mind that also to follow up with those recommendations, you'll need resources. So this cannot be done just business as usual. You'll need new resources. If you want to look into sugar maple production, all of that, you'll need to have timelines defined and resources allocated for that if you want to be successful with that. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions on this presentation? You can't just now, sorry about that, Pat. This part, we will hang on to your question. Yeah, well, okay. I will allow you to ask the question. Go ahead. No, but I have to explain. You were going to have a chance. It's coming up if you wanted to hang on to your question, but because you want to ask Eric and because I know you know a lot about forestry and you were on the forestry committee, go ahead and ask your question. There you go.
Monsieur Fortin, j'ai écouté votre discours, je suis pas mal en accord avec. Cependant, j'ai pas entendu pourquoi que notre industrie forestière a été tombée à l'eau. Avez-vous une opinion pourquoi que notre industrie forestière est tombée à l'eau, nos moulins ont arrêté?
Oui.
Moi, vous expliquer, j'ai passé ma vie en 40 ans, moi, après ça, je me dirais, je suis pas mal d'accord. Nos industries auparavant coupaient de la planche, seulement de la planche. Il n'y avait aucune industrie secondaire, même pas de deuxième transformation, même pas de troisième transformation. À titre d'exemple, je vais te donner un plan où ici, Trébillot faisait des pellets. Puis on bâtit ça 25 000 de l'usine. Ça coûtait au propriétaire de Trébillot 25 à 30 plus de coûts pour aller chercher les ressources premières. À la place d'avoir bâti ça aux côtés d'une usine. Avoir une industrie de pallets aux côtés de l'usine. Avoir une industrie de plancher de bois franc aux côtés de l'usine. Tu parles de. Je suis bien d'accord avec tout ce que tu dis. Tu parles de pulp. Quand on utilisait notre. Au début, 30 ans passés, on avait assez de qualité dans la forêt qu'on pouvait survivre.
Pat, just a moment. Could you just, this is supposed to be a question, so
Yeah.
you're giving a big background. If you could just give Eric like some specific questions, that would be great.
Bon, vous pourrez que si je vais le dire, c'est qu'on n'a pas d'industrie secondaire de deuxième transformation, de troisième transformation. C'est ça que ça prend ici.
Effectivement, les usines de deuxième, troisième transformation, c'est ça ça serait une valeur ajoutée, c'est certain. Sauf que pour l'instant, c'est même pas rentable d'aller couper un arbre. So right now, the question was about why don't we have second and third transformation mills, and right now, it's just not viable to go harvest a tree and do the first transformation. So, and if there's projects, and there are some that are being talked about, that would be second transformation, then that's super great. But at the same time, the MRC's role is not a promoter. I don't think the MRC is going to invest 120 million or even 20 million for a mill. It's not the role of the MRC. So the MRCs can look and try to help the promoters, but some of the promoters have to come up with some cash, some great ideas. And I agree with you that if you could go to the second transformation, that's how we can be economically viable today. You look, we got examples in the region, like we got Lausanne. He does the harvesting, he does the first transformation, the second transformation, he's doing some hardwood flooring. So, and he's still alive, barely, but he's alive because he's all integrated. At the same time, that wasn't built over a couple of days, and it's even tough for a company like that because the hardwood pulp, even for Lausanne,
is very, very difficult, and it's been established there for 20 years or over 20 years. So, and it was linked to the pulp mill. So even Thurso, the fact that Thurso has been bankrupt for 2.5 years is not helping the region here. So that's why, like, I agree with you. That would be great if we could have some second transformation and third transformation. But first of all, we need to start logging and sawing some first transformation first, and then try to add to that, or have a project that does all that at once. So
yeah.
It's a great comment, but I'm just going back to the role of the MLC. Say that it's not the promoter between millions, it's not their role.
Right. Thank you very much. And that was an excellent question. Thank you, Pat. And thanks for zeroing in on the question. And thank you, Eric. Now, are there any of the mayors that would like to ask Eric a question? One thing I wanted to clarify, Eric, around here, we've been talking about community forest, not proximity. So just to clarify, it's the same thing. And to also just give a quick other background, in the previous council, twice, with the Liberals and with the CAC, we have submitted the same resolution asking to be the second pilot study for a community forest. And Réjean Dugas actually drew a map and has given us, it's almost 10% of the total territory of the Pontiac, to compare to the 10% that Abitibi West has in a much smaller region. Okay, any questions of any of the mayors? Yes, Philip.
I was just wondering if the private landowners are aware of their ash species dying quickly, but there's still some value to those 2 or 3 butt logs in each tree if they could harvest them right away. But I'm not sure the public's aware that those trees are dying so quickly.
Yeah, really not sure about that, but it would also be the role of the Office of the Woods, Pontiac, to get into that, and we come back to the same problem of like you look at the Groupement Forestier, who could harvest much more, and they don't have the capacity. They don't have the people to do more harvesting. 16% of the volume that could be harvested on private land is being harvested every year right now. So it's a huge problem. Even if people knew about it, I don't think we would have like the people to harvesting it, even though it would be great because private owners, sometimes they can do it with the tractor and just go with the small operations. But again, what are you going to do with like the sawmill? The sawlog part of it is the rest. You're stuck with the pulp. You need to do firewood with it.
But I'm just trying to make them aware if they leave those birch, maple, oak trees living and clean the ash out and use that before it's completely worthless, because in 2 or 3 years it's dozing, it's worth, but it's still worth good money today, except for the trucking.
One thing that came up at the forestry committee is that there is a lot more I think that our MRC can be doing to encourage people that have private forest to allow some harvesting on their property. And there are tax incentives for them to do it. I didn't know about the ash. I think that anything that we can do to, especially where we might know where ash is located in particular on private forest, if I were an owner of property and that was brought to my attention, I would say absolutely, take it down. So I think that you've presented us, Eric, with a really good opportunity that we still have 84% of private forest that is not being harvested. And we all know that every tree has a life expectancy and it's wasted if we don't harvest it, at the right time. So thank you for bringing this up about the ash. And I think that's something that, Jason, we can follow up on maybe with forestry committee and as an MRC, make people more aware. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Maybe just like, so I did the presentation about like 20 minutes. At the forestry table, we spent about 2 hours discussing that. So it's all in the report. So I think it's worth reading it. in there's much more detail than what I've been able to present to you tonight, because I don't think you wanted me to talk for 2 hours. So thank you very much for your attention, and
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for inviting me here. It's much more fun to do it in person than on a Zoom call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eric. And we can make that forestry report available to all the mayors. I'm sure we could do that, and even the presentation that you've seen. And actually, I noticed on the agenda, it's here for information, but if there are no major changes that anyone wants to make, I think that we vote resolution to at least accept this so that we can, we have a break in July, keep the momentum going. Is that all right with you, Jason? If we have a resolution to accept this report, that's why it's come to the public meeting with the mayors. And then we could start to hopefully action some of these things. So could I have Mayor Beauregard, would you move this acceptance? Thank you. Okay, on the agenda, it just says for information. So I'm trying to change it into resolution.
It is.
Could you read that out?
Considérant les présentations effectuées par M. Éric Forget de la firme Nova Silva, il est proposé par et résolu de prendre acte des 12 actions recommandées pour le développement du milieu forestier, telles que présentées par M. Éric Forget de la firme Nova Silva, et de travailler à leur mise en œuvre. Il est également résolu de mandater le comité de foresterie à se pencher sur cette mise en œuvre. Considering the invitation of Mr. Éric Forget of the firm Nova Silva, it is proposed and resolved to take note of the 12 recommended action for the development of the forestry sector as presented by Mr. Forget, and to work on their implementation. It also resolved to mandate the forestry committee to work on this implementation.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Moved by Mayor Beauregard. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Can we say it's unanimous? Thank you very much. Thanks, Morris. Mayor Beauregard has had a big input, so has Mayor La Riviere. Well, everyone has on the forestry committee. Are you staying for the rest of the meeting?
Part of it.
All right, very good. All right, now we will go to the warden's report. At this point, I just summarized some of the activities that I've been involved in the last month. So we had an HR committee meeting. I went to the Tourism Pontiac AGA. The annual SCs, this was something new for the CPO that was done in Gatineau. The Canwell GVV Technical Working Group. We opened the Red Bridge with a very nice reception and speeches over at Bryson House and in Mansfield. There was a seniors event that I attended and Mayor Francoeur was there as well. In Fort Collins, the evening of the bridge. I don't know, have any of you seen the bridge at night? Have you been able to go by and see it? It's quite beautiful. Yes, I think it's been very well received. I attended the funeral of Robert Bertrand, the Assemblée MRC at FQM with Bernard Waugh. Went to the party that was held for Cindy Phillips. The opening of the axe throwing, which is an activity over by the White Beach in Mansfield, with the other wardens of the Udaway. And I gave a pretty strong deputation en français with the other wardens about our stand in the Pontiac on energy from waste. And basically, I had 5 points to make. I just want to inform you what they were. Number one was that from the beginning, Pontiac has been a willing host, and we have 2 sites identified, one in Bristol, one in Litchfield. Number two, we have got to look at the whole Outaouais as a group of wardens and say, where is industry and where is it lacking? And just like the Premier of the province is going to the devitalized areas, we know that we're one of the devitalized areas that's receiving the $5 million to work on a vitalization plan. Everything will be spent by 2025. In that same way, Pontiac and Valley de la Gatineau and other areas need to be raised up, and this is how the Outaouais will move forward. I also talked about the need to collaborate and that we cannot rush this process. Reopening a pulp mill compared to dealing with human waste, it's a much more complicated subject. One thing you don't want to do is choose a technology that is not proven, and you could have a mountain of garbage on your hands and a disaster. And so there was a little bit of speed working towards one particular technology called Enercam. And fortunately, the research committee came back. Credo is part of this, and the university in Gatineau and Montreal, and they said that that particular technology wouldn't even give their data. They only have one site in Edmonton, and it is not satisfactory for us to be considering that one. I also spoke about the fact that since 2017, Pontiac has given leadership on this file, and that we have been the first ones to speak about energy from waste for municipal garbage in Quebec. And we also are the first ones to talk about opening the border and having the opportunity to take the waste from Ontario, use it to convert it into electricity and steam or whatever energy. And that it would actually be being a good neighbor to Ottawa, because Ottawa has not got a solution at this point. They're still using landfill. So I think it was very well received, and I think we picked up some support, and I would say we're back in the saddle. So that's one important thing, because honestly, as I go around the Pontiac, a lot of people talk to me about reopening forestry mills, but even more, and especially our seniors, say that idea of the energy from waste is our best chance here in Pontiac. We really want that idea to move forward. So that's why we have our waste committee representing 18 municipalities. And within the MRC building with Bernard and the directors, we have an energy from waste committee. So we hope to continue to, and I also said this decision should not be made until 2023 because it's got nothing to do with the provincial election. The budget has already been determined, and they know that we are working on this in the Outaouais. Forestry Committee, the CFP, which is the Picano JAR. We had a TNO consultation, but actually no one came. So perhaps that's a good sign that people in the TNO are satisfied. I went to the Villa James Shaw AGM with Mayor McCleary was there. I flew to Regina for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and this was a great opportunity. It's the first time I've been able to attend in person since we became a member, and it was well worth the time. There were some major highlights, and I actually have a few slides I'd just like to show if it's possible, Nat.
For the FCM?
FCM ones, yeah. These are just taken with my phone. They're not the greatest. Oop, what's that?
Just sure.
So this was just actually taken in the McDonald's across from the conference center. They weren't providing a lunch, so there we were. But I just wanted to say that in that picture, I am with people from Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, British Columbia, and Ontario. And it was just great because we sat there, we talked about, having gone through COVID and just all the similarities, all the things that we've been sharing together. And this is why I think it's important for MRC Pontiac. And I hope that, it was a bit expensive. I paid my own airfare, but it was a bit expensive actually to have to like $800 just to be in the conference. But when it's held like in Toronto or closer to where we are, I really hope other mayors will come because it is great to be with people from across Canada. So they'll know more about the Pontiac, and so we can get ideas, ideas from across Canada. And another thing, for some of us, French is not my first language. It was a little easier for me because I was able to speak in English, you know, and just spontaneously without still working on being bilingual. Now, this picture is, this woman is from Canada Census. And there we are. And anyways, the reason I want to take a picture is on her phone that the recent census results show that we've gone up 500 people. And I think this is amazing. We keep talking about 14,200. We're actually at 14,767, something like that. And that's, you know, that's great. We know we're having a population boom, but it's kind of hard. But there were actually 500 more people who said that they live in the Pontiac. So that was great. This picture is me. That's the mayor of Ottawa. He's not running again, but that's Jim. We had a chat. I had approached Jim Watson with Carrie Richardson back in 2018 to discuss waste, energy from waste and garbage solutions. Next picture is, this is the fellow who's head of the dairy farmers for, and he knew Chris Judd very well and knows that we have a lot of dairy farms. I told him, unfortunately, we've just lost 2 dairy farms, but he was just encouraging about getting more people into dairy farms. And we know that we've got a cheese factory in the works in the Pontiac. So again, that was, I just wanted to show him. Next picture. Oh, do you know the true cost of your ice rink? Now we know that we've got, is it 3 ice rinks in the Pontiac? And that, you know, with the hydro cost, the price of keeping the ice, all this stuff, this particular company and or they have a lot of solutions. And so that's just to tell you that this is the type of thing. I mean, there's a trade show and there's about 200 exhibitors and they have everything, all the latest technology. And so this was just one thing that caught my attention and I got some information for us. This is, instead of composting and having compost picked up, there is a machine which is just below here. It reduces food waste volume up to 90%. For $150, they put one of these in each person's home, which they say in time is a lot cheaper than having a truck go around. And you can actually compost. It takes 5 or 6 hours and it turns whatever you put into it into like earth. So there is a picture of it. Maybe if you can scroll down a little further, 4 to 6 hours of processing, and that's what happens. See that? So, and there's grants to also purchase that. So just another interesting thing. Okay, and finally, that is the mayor of Lachute, who has that huge landfill that we're contributing garbage to. And finally, last picture. Okay, the person on the left is the president of FQM. It was nice to see him. And I ended up having dinner one night with all of the Quebec representatives, which was nice, including Scott Pierce, who is our representative for English-speaking Quebecers. He's going to actually be the president of FCM next year. He's now the first vice president, and many of you voted for him when we asked last year. I think that's the end of the FCM pictures. And then I also have sent a couple of pictures of the Coesis Energy Center. This, we know that Credo actually approached us and said that Pontiac has more sunlight than most any other part of Quebec, just like the other side of the Ottawa River in Ontario. So I took a bus, this is in Saskatchewan, to see this solar farm. It's actually owned by First Nations and it's called the Coesis Renewable Energy. Okay. And it only cost $7.6 million to build. They have 1 wind turbine. And it goes into, the energy goes into these iodide lithium batteries for storage. But the part that I liked most was the, keep going that please, to the solar. Okay, that's the iodide battery storage. And then soon we're going to, there's the wind turbine. I wasn't impressed with that. There are the solar panels. They're still building them. They put a pylon into the ground. These are all the panels in boxes still. And there's going to be something like 1,400 solar panels. And just with that, they move and they follow the sun. And 16 hours of the day, they've got almost full sunlight. And they produce enough energy for 30,000 homes. And it is a 10 megawatt facility. So We know that our premier announced at FQM that the moratorium on hydro is finished because we need more hydro in Quebec. So this is a great opportunity for us. It would employ a lot of people with the building of it. We just, and we actually had a meeting this week about this, and we are now going to be, fairly soon searching for potential property, and the provincial government has got money for renewable energy projects. Okay, and then it was important about FCM. And then I had a meeting with people interested in the Javelco mill. I spoke from Saskatchewan at the, I made an intervention on our behalf about CNL. I went to Bryson Lake Lodge for the first time. Tourism Outaouais had a promotion up there. We had the plenary meeting, another CFP meeting. Went to the Patro for a Pride Day that they had with all of the families just last Saturday. We had the FRR CPO selection committee, just the first. And this is something that, we have connected to projects that really they're full with work. But we need to look at our other departments in the MRC and see what projects we could, I don't want to be sitting at the table without MRC Pontiac having, because we decided to look at priorities in our MRCs and make sure that the FRR grants are going, yes, to OBNLs and other groups, but also to the MRCs. So, we could look at everything from energy from waste. We could look at some of maybe our engineering projects under Kim Lesage. There are so many things. So now's the time to start to think about it. And went to the AGA for TDSP. And we have a new pilot project that I want to quickly hit on, and that is that many of you were at the Pine Lodge for, it was Sophie Chattel's roundtable for economic development, and the opportunity is a large nursery to grow trees, because 2 billion trees are needed now for cities. And apparently through COVID, many cities, the residents were working hard on their gardens and they got up a lot of the trees. So now they really need to have a major, it's called a pépinière. And so there's $300,000 available. They're giving MRC Pontiac the first opportunity because we were so enthusiastic at the meeting with the SADC there and everyone else. And so literally now we are looking for possible groups that can use and land where we could start to grow these trees. So in a way, we're being given the first chance. And I think that you would all agree this could be a great opportunity. We also have 40% of the forest. We've had a lot of trees taken from the Pontiac, but this will be a very profitable thing. The 300,000 is just sort of for the initial stages. Then there will be more money and it could employ a lot of people. And finally, I spoke with Alain Paquette and Andre Fortin. And there was a meeting on yesterday about the discussion of the impacts economically after COVID. There is an issue at the hospital that Radio Canada is researching where we may need to purchase a new CT scan piece of equipment because it has been breaking down. So any questions on my report? And then I have a little bonus. Sophie Chattel, around 5:30 today, presented our petition on cellular. And so she sent me a little clip. I don't know if it's possible to play it, Matt. It's very short. Can you help with the volume? Do you need a microphone or? Okay. We'll go back to the beginning.
heureux de me lever aujourd'hui en charge de déposer une pétition qui a été initiée par le conseil régional des maires de la MRC de Pontiac concernant une demande de financement pour
presented it. She told me, I think that we're the only rural,
MRC to have given a petition, and we had about 1,100 names. We had, I think, mainly from Lilo Zalumet, Corey. And anyways, the other good news is that Bernard and I heard this at the FQM, but now it's been announced
that after the election, and I guess if they win, the Premier has said, he's put such an effective job of rolling out the high-speed internet. They're giving us the opportunity first over other provinces to roll out cellular. And so the federal government is putting 500 million into it, and Premier Legault has agreed to also match that with 500 million because they have a surplus. So I think it's great, and you're going to be able to tell your residents that cellular help is on the way. What we were asking for in this petition that she has launched was $4 million for 5 towers. I mean, who knows how long we have to wait for that. So once again, it would be much easier if the province just starts a rollout, including us, which will be great news for many of us, many of you who have some no service areas. So that is the end of that, and we will now go on to the events and announcements for every municipality. And so just for our pro mayors that are here tonight, it's your opportunity to speak about anything that might be coming up in your municipality, just anything interesting or any events. And if you haven't got anything, just say nothing to report. So we'll start with Lilo Zalumet, Corey Stens.
Merci, Madame Préfet. Aujourd'hui, je voulais offrir mes félicitations aux élèves d'école Notre-Dame du Sacré-Cœur que cette mois ici vont finir leur éducation primaire dans le mois de juin, puis aller aux éducation secondaire au mois de septembre. Félicitations à ces jeunes-là. Just said I'd like to offer my felicitations to the young group at the École Notre-Dame du Sacré-Cœur for their hard work and graduating in their primary school, and offer their support in September when they go to their secondary school. And the same thing for Dr. Wilbur Keown, children there, and they'll be having their graduation ceremonies, I believe. And mark your calendars for August 19th and 20th is Ilus Agfest. It's coming up. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mayor Ranger,
Thank you. The only thing I have to, well, it's Canada Day. We're going full blown Canada Day this year since we've been shut down with COVID for the last couple of years. We have a new committee of new people on board, and they're working hard to get things rolling for July 1st. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mayor Chichester.
Yeah, I have nothing to report, but I'll be going to Canada Day in Sheemborough.
Okay. Mayor Christine Francoeur, Fort Collins.
Well, we have a busy weekend coming up. First of all, our cinema Lynn is open, and also the opening was last week, which was great. So anybody who would like to come, please come. It's great to go back in time and go in there and watch a movie. The sound is excellent and the picture is excellent also. We also have Village en Fête this weekend, which is Saturday from 11 to 4. We have so many new activities this year. Yes, we're going to have some kiosks and some food kiosks also, but we have helicopter rides, which is new this year. And also there will be a movie playing at the Cinema Lynn at 2 o'clock for that day. We also have a storyteller for kids up to age 10. She'll be there from 11 o'clock to 12, which is, she's somebody from Hull, and she is, what we've seen from her, she is excellent. The kids really do love her. Also on that same day, we'll be celebrating our firemen because it's their 6th anniversary. So that day we will have cake for everybody. So please come and enjoy a piece of cake on us. And we will be having a party for them in the fall, but right now for everybody, it's going to be celebrated that day. So it's a very busy weekend coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pro Warden Sandra Armstrong, Mansfield.
I'll say a few words in French, Jane, because
Of course.
je voudrais féliciter Naomi Lusignan. Naomi Lusignan is a high school, and she's in Mexico right now, and a big competition for lifting, and she's doing really good. Donc, j'aimerais vraiment féliciter Naomi Lusignan pour nous représenter au Mexique. In Mansfield, for lunch, we'll have a fête nationale, donc la Saint-Jean, le 24 juin, de 1h à 5h. Il y aura de la musique et des jeux d'enfants. Et in Mansfield, you have Mansfield en fête, juillet le 1, 2, 3, jeux et jeux de baseball. Merci.
Okay, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And Robin Zacharias, Otter Lake.
Yes, in Otter Lake, we have Canada Day like a lot of the other municipalities. Starts off about 2 o'clock. We got a parade. There'll be music. We'll have the bar. There's also things for children. We'll have bouncy castles and face painting. At nighttime, there's fireworks. They usually put on a pretty good fireworks. So looking forward to it. It's been a couple of years, and I expect they plan on doing a big one this year.
Great, thank you very much. Pro Mayor Zacharias. Go ahead, Mayor Godin.
Not too much involved. We're going into baseball. Everybody's excited. We're thinking of having a mosquito roping contest, but the details have to be finalized.
Details have to be finalized.
How big are they? That's it.
Mayor Morris Beauregard.
Sad to say all is quiet in Campbell's Bay this month. We'll reach back out next month.
Okay, super, thank you. Mayor Colleen LaRiviere from Litchfield.
Well, our splash pad did open, so it's going really strong, and we built a gazebo, which is all complete and being very well used. I took a drive up there the other day, and our halt is seemingly being a great attraction, so that's great.
Okay, Mayor Beauregard, is your splash pad open in Campbell's Bay as well? Excellent, excellent. Okay, Marilyn Cameron Fortash.
We will be having the fireworks July 1st, and also to let everyone know that the Stone School gift shop is now open, and there's a wide variety of unique gifts, and while you're there, you can enjoy the art show.
Excellent, thank you so much. Mayor Jean-Louis Corbeau.
Le 25 de juin, on a la Saint-Jean-Baptiste. Fait qu'il y a des feux d'artifice, il y a toutes sortes d'activités, des chansons, tout ça. J'invite tout le monde à venir participer. So the 25th of June, we have the Saint-Jean-Baptiste on the island. So we have a lot of activity, like old car show and firework and a lot of things. So everybody's welcome. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Merci. Mayor Bill McCleary from Shawville.
I haven't spent a lot of time in Wallace. I don't know what the mosquitoes are like, but I think that contest be better held in College Mansfield. I have spent some time there. To echo Corey's sentiments, congratulations to the grads from Shawville, from the College High School, and also to the Shawville grads from Pontiac High. The future is coming up soon. Wonder what they all do. Candidate parade is at 1 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, we're having an appreciation barbecue for our fire department. So I'm copying Mayor Francoeur. And our fireworks is a little different this year. Normally, our firemen would do it. We spend $25,000 on fireworks and they last about 45 minutes. This year, we've hired the company that supplies them to put on a show. And they do the same amount in 15 minutes. So people are going to say, why is it so short? But it will be spectacular.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Mayor, call
Nothing
Mayor.
to report.
Okay, thanks, Carl. Mayor Karen Kelly.
Not too much, but we rebaptized our playground because now we have a gazebo there too and a nice little picnic table all set up for people to come over and enjoy themselves now.
Perfect.
And that's all for now.
Thank you. Pro Mayor Phil Elliott from Clarendon.
We'll all just join Shawl for their Canada Day celebration, and I think the Jamboree's on again this year, we don't. At Armstrong Farm.
Okay. Yeah, super. Thank you. And Mayor Brantor from Bristol.
Our lifeguards will be starting at the Norway Beach on June 28th. So the beach will be open.
Excellent. Thank you. And Mayor Langagnon from Bryson.
Oui, tournoi de balle en fin de semaine, commençant de vendredi soir jusqu'à dimanche. Donc, come and see a ball game. There's food, drinks, music. And they'll be more organized, but so keep in touch with the Facebook of the Bryson RA and the Revitalization Committee.
Excellent. Merci. And Del, anything to report from Rapide des Joachim?
Yeah, we have a barbecue on the 25th of June and some little rides for the kids. Free hot dogs and hamburgers. On July 27th, we have a car show.
Okay, is that the downtown committee?
Yes, it is.
Life Committee of Rapide?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Mayor Vassell. Thank you. Well, thank you to everybody. And now we go to our public question period. And so are there any members of the public who would like to ask a question? And then we'll do the questions. So did you have a question you wanted to ask in particular, Pat? Remarks? Okay, as long as not a really long speech, because how about I'll give you 5 minutes. Would that be all right? Okay, come up to the mic, please.
I'm glad to hear that you invited the population to participate in the RMC meeting. But when we participate in meetings, we expect to ask questions and get answers. Last meeting, I sent you 10 questions. Not one answer was sent to me, not one.
These are the questions from the individual mayors. Some of them were?
Some were from the mayor, some to you, not one was answered.
So I will say to you that you will still get those answers. I believe at the last meeting, I said that I would take responsibility of ensuring that you got the answers. So
Yes.
I'm going to say it again, and this time you will receive them. So
Okay,
my
thank you.
apologies. My apologies.
Second remark, if you remember well, I sent you an email 3 months ago.
Oh, are you speaking to just me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
There's your remarks.
Okay.
3 months ago, I said, and I looked at my email 3 months or so, March, I sent you a question or I guess it's a question for a review on our tax. You remember you told me you were going to bring it to the plenary meeting. I don't think it was brought there.
What I can say about that is that we hope that once we no longer have to spend $1.7 million taking our waste to La Chute, that could make a difference to the tax bill, or even prior to that, if we can take the compost out of our waste that's going to a landfill right now, Pat, that will reduce our expense, which I think also is related to what you're having to pay for garbage right now, by 40%. And what I have said to the mayors, you know, it is each individual council's own decision with their own budget. I can only suggest to them that they would pass on a decrease. But at the end of the day, it's up to each mayor and council. And that, I think, is the truth, isn't it? We're the MRC, where we do the assessment, the properties, it's the mill rate and the actual tax bills based on the services provided are generated from each municipality. So if you feel your taxes are too high, you need to go to your municipal council and mayors. But I have talked about reducing, the mayors don't, I think the mayors can remember that I have suggested, but it's a suggestion that once we can lower the cost of garbage collection, hopefully when we have our own energy from waste facility here, we'll be saving a lot of money not trucking it all the way to the chute. And it would be my hope that that savings could be passed on.
Could I respond to that?
Yes.
I went to college meeting last night and this issue came up. As an example, Mr. Charbonneau, his evaluation went from 200,000 to 900,000. My tax in municipality in Mansfield 2 years ago, my value went up 50%. It's all over the Pontiac. The ones that got evaluated the last trimester, they call it. So that's why I asked you for a review. It's not only for garbage, there's something else. We talked about it at the meeting in College, and when they do their evaluation, they do it by sector. And what was explained to me is even if there's one house, two house, or one lot or two lots sold at higher value, it has to be on an extended period of time to raise your value. It can't be just for 1 year that that makes no sense. There wasn't a boom for 10 years. 1 year less our tax. That's why I want a review of it. Like I said to the council in College, we had 3 residential booms in College. Junior Susie's house, La Chute, up at the chute, and Projet Amiat. Our tax didn't go up 50%, 60%. That's why I want the MRC Council of Mayor to look into it, because I'm going to do a petition, drop it off at Christine, and she's going to present it at the plenary meeting.
I want to just inform the mayors. That's great, Pat. I'll just address that. Larry Charbonneau is the fellow that is making the apartments out of all the old closed up buildings. And he's talking about the Pearson Hotel, which really, I think was purchased originally for about $15,000 just for the taxes. It was a building that many people might have just decided to tear down, but instead he is putting a lot of energy into it. But when, I don't know what the taxes used to be, maybe you say 200,000. Now the evaluation is 900,000. So I know that Mayor Francoeur is on top of this, but this is the sort of thing that can happen. And so just a suggestion, I don't know, I'll just say it. If we do find in the future that certain areas boom, especially with all of these people coming from cities who are bringing quite a bit of money and even maybe offering over the asking price, even bidding wars in some cases, if it affects the evaluations and if the assessments are going up more than people who are time residents and maybe on fixed incomes, there could potentially be some kind of plan where you'd have it phased in, which means that it doesn't just jump from here to here, but it would be in increments over like 3 years or 4 years until the next assessment is done. So just a suggestion. But thank you very much, Pat. And I do think we should address, I'm sure that there are several municipal councils that have heard from their residents and they're investigating some of these cases. Yes, Christine?
I'd just like to make a comment about the Pearson Hotel. It was adjusted. He is back.
It was adjusted?
Yes, he is back down to an evaluation of 236, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that's good news.
Yes.
So that's already taken place. Good. Just any other mayors to comment on that one? All right. Yes, sir. Would you like to come up to the microphone? Oh, is that you? Nice to see you. How's the hot air balloon business?
It's just starting to float.
Well, I'm glad they're floating
Yeah,
in the air, not in the Columbus River.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Pierre Cyr. I'm a resident in Fort Coulomge. And I'm going to be involved in politics this fall at the provincial level for the Green Party of Quebec. So I just want to introduce myself. So, and I really like all the conversation about like the projects, because like there a lot of them are really sensible for like the environment, like the Green Party is not against progress, but I see that, every project, there's a big part that the environment is taken care of, which is really good. Okay. So, sorry, I'm not used to speak in front of people.
Well, you
Take
better
my
get
breath.
used to it. Good. Keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah, it's not just good for for the nature, but it's good for our future, like for our children and everything. We got to be careful because this world is not really right now. So I'm happy to see that. Donc en français, mon nom c'est Pierre Cyr. Je vais être candidat pour le Parti vert du Québec à l'automne, au mois d'octobre. Donc, je voulais juste me présenter, puis je vous félicite pour votre travail. Congratulations for your good work and trying to make things better for Pontiac.
Thank you very much. And I didn't realize that you were running, Pierre. I'm behind the time with the news. Félicitations for stepping forward. And Pierre's been living in Fort Coulomge for about 2 years now. And I think I'm the first one that went up in your hot air balloon. And I never told you this, but as the balloon left the ground, I had forgotten to tell you that I had a fear of heights. And you should have seen me inside this little basket. I really wanted to take pictures, but it was kind of like woo. And the thing that was really unnerving is that when you were pulling and blasting the fire up into the, it's such a flimsy little balloon. And I said to you, can that catch fire? But he's an expert. He's been involved in this at Gatineau, all kinds of places. And he would like to, at some point, I think, start a hot air balloon festival in the Pontiac. It's so beautiful. And the particular balloon you have, but I had the most amazing pictures because we went over the Columbus River, and it was just after that flood had taken place, and to see the mountains of sand under the river. And at one point, I caught sight of a shadow on the trees of the balloon, and then I realized, that's me. Anyways, and the landing was very soft. So thank you so much. Thank you, Eric. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Are you coming back, Jason? Okay. All right. So any other questions from the public? Okay, now we will go to e-questions. And I see Amy Taylor is here tonight, which is great. I have your questions here, Amy. So question number 1. At the last couple meetings, there was discussion regarding the e-form to permit more than one question and moving the question deadline to allow sufficient time for mayors to respond. Neither has happened. Why should residents participate in the process if council is unwilling to listen or take appropriate actions to correct the issues brought up? So what I can say to you is I was actually in favor of taking away the restriction of one question. You have 10 questions and I am going to answer all of them. What we can say here is that there is 5 minutes allowed for someone who comes in person. So the idea was, if we have people in the audience, that we wouldn't want to take up all the time just with e-questions, but and also it is a question, not a speech. What we now are doing is we are putting the question up the Tuesday before, Tuesday following Tuesday takedown. Okay, it's approximately 1 week that you have the opportunity to submit a question. It's taken down the day before the council meeting. Question 2, MRC received $879,289 in COVID assistance. Was this first, second, or total installments? It's total installments. Is this distributed between municipalities? Did they receive separate COVID assistance? Yes, they did. And I don't have the figures on what each municipality, I think they had to apply for it. Are there guidelines to how CV funds can be spent? Not really. They didn't really give us guidelines. Where can one view a complete report of the CD funds received with a list of up-to-date expenditures? So we have that list. Annie has provided it, I think, to Natasha. Okay, here it is. So basically, there's quite a long list of expenses that have been spent, and we still have $172,775.58 that we can spend. And many of the projects, oh, by the way, each expenditure had to be brought before our council and we had to vote on the resolution. So it was all done at public meetings. And in many cases, communications, bettering internet, having like headphones is the most recent thing for mayors, so that when we have virtual meetings, that we have, we speak better and can hear better. There has been some modification, for example, down in the economic development room. There were 8 or 9 people working just in one big space. It was impossible. And also with COVID, not very healthy. So now we have partitions that are glass or plexiglass and, like physical. So now they're like cubicles that have been created. So, really, I think the provincial government were very generous. It's a lot of money to have been given, but we also managed to keep business going for 2 years, accomplished a lot, even though we had COVID. So we still have the 172,000 left. And I think if we don't spend it, I don't know, I guess it goes back. So I'm sure that none of it will be wasted and it will all be spent on worthwhile. Okay. So, so at least that has been made public, which you asked. Question 3, due to public interest of various questions brought forth, the council can all questions sent to public council meetings be responded to in a public format, either during meetings or Facebook, and without blocking people, so as to prevent repetitive questions, to permit transparency through public follow-up, and to strengthen the integrity of the process. And my answer to that is, provided enough time is given for mayors in particular, if you're singling people out, responder to have their answer ready, they can respond here, yes, because this is our public meeting at the MRC. You have addressed it to the MRC council, not to the individual municipality. Next question 4, has there been any further discussion or a decision made whether the plenary meetings will be made viewable to the public? Yes, we have been talking about it as a council of mayors. We agree that at our plenary meetings, most of the items on the agenda are not confidential. Right now in Quebec, there is not one single MRC that has a public plenary meeting, and I confirmed that with our superintendent of FQM. So it's something that is just a work in progress. We're talking about it, and just like tonight, that presentation on forestry, normally that would have just come to our plenary meeting, but we chose instead to show it at the public meeting because we thought it would be interesting for people in the Pontiac. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Question 5, in a letter to the editor, Warden Toller spoke of many jobs in the Pontiac. What percentage of residents are employed in the region in which industries, percentage of unemployed and retired? I'll have to do some research. I don't have those answers right now. Arriving investors were also mentioned. Can she provide more details about these investors and what types of employment business opportunities they propose to bring to the region? So what I can say is that my letter was saying it's time to get back to work. I said that one forestry mill that would like to reopen, before any announcement is made, they want to know first, are there people in the Pontiac willing to come and work? And that was the spirit of the letter. It was to actually say, before people were saying there weren't jobs. Well, there are jobs now, quite a few jobs coming down the pipe. And we hope that we, as a council mayor and warden, hope that people from the Pontiac will respond, because COVID has been hard. A lot of people have been home for various reasons, and it's difficult to kind of be motivated to get back to work. But we would rather see people from the Pontiac employed rather than needing to bring outside people. So that's the answer on that. And there is a forestry mill that is in the process of being purchased, and a lot of work has been done towards opening. We also see some very good indications operations. This was all in the forestry report, if you saw it on that feed. They're working on roads. They have a new scale. They've updated all the hydro. Davidson is still, in the planning stage, I would say. And then we have many other opportunities. We have a Mabec, the old Mabec mill. There is a prospective industry that will go in there. But we're not trying to be secretive. It's just that there's a time and a place to announce things. And the worst thing we could do is make an announcement and then not have it work out, because then we're making promises that we can't deliver. But what Sophie Chattel tells me is, this is the last statement on this, that when she goes around the region that she represents, her favorite area is the Pontiac, because there is an energy here. It's so positive. And there's a momentum here. And I think that what's happening is so many people are moving here, and it's because of our wilderness, and people want to get out of cities. So quite frankly, whether it's tourism, whether it's investors, whether it's people just buying land, there are some housing developments that will be announced fairly soon. So since I've lived here, which is 2012, I've never felt more positive about our future. So I think, do all the mayors agree that you see a lot of positive indications? I think we know that their populations are increasing and more properties are being sold. That's that. Last question. Sorry, there were only 6 questions, not 10. Explanation, reform being changed to accept more than one question. There's not enough characters permitted on this form to allow to fully explain questions when there may be a misunderstanding, or to ask multiple questions on one form. Instead, form needs to be filled out multiple times. Increasing characters on the form would likely solve the issue. And Colleen Jones and I were speaking about it today. I think it allows 500 characters right now, but yes, we can increase the amount of space for the questions. That's what we decided, but it's not really supposed to be an essay. It's supposed to be a question. Okay, is that right? Good. Oh, I mean, good for now. Okay, so the coronavirus update, a follow-up. Bernard, do you have anything in particular you'd like to say?
There's no change since our last meeting.
So a number of people working in the building.
It's about, it's around 75%.
Okay, very good. And some people still spending some days teletravaing, working from home. Okay, very good. And the vaccination clinic is open until December 31st, Mayor Beauregard tells us, in Campbell's Bay. Now we will go on to 14, general administration. 1, so Bernard, while we need a resolution, fees applicable to the process of sales on immovables for non-payment of taxes, year 2 of 3, 2022.
Oui, cette résolution confirme les montants payables là, par l'acquéreur de la propriété lors de l'enchère de la propriété pour non-paiement de taxes. So I'll read it, considering that the MRC Pontiac must perform the duties concerning the sales of immovables for non-payment of taxes, considering contract signed in 2021 with RPGL in order to succeed in its duties related to sales of immovables for non-payment of taxes, considering that the service agreement is a 3-year contract, considering the public auction for sales of immovables for non-payment of taxes is scheduled this year, Thursday, September 8th, 2022. And considering that the MRC must establish the fees applicable to the process of sale of immovables for non-payment of taxes, this resolution is to establish the fee applicable to the process of the sale of immovable for the non-payment of taxes for year 2022 as follows. So tax fees payable to Maître Marie-Josée Beaulieu from RPGL. That includes taxes, so $459.90. Those fees to be paid to the MRC, that includes all other fees like sending a registered letter or put an ad 2 times in the newspaper. The amount is $394.42. So the estimated amount due for per file, $854.32.
Thank you, Bernard. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move this resolution moved by Mayor Karen Kelly? All those in favor, Opposed, and that carries. Thank you. We'll go on to 14.2, which is bylaw number 281. 2022 Code of Ethics and the employee, Mark.
Oui, ce point concerne l'adoption du code d'éthique pour les employés de la MRC Pontiac. Notice of motion has been given in the bylaw tabled at the last public meeting at the council. That was in May. The draft bylaw had been also presented to the employees last Thursday, June 9th. And a copy also of the draft bylaw had been sent to by email to all employees on June 13th. So tonight is, we are asking a resolution for the final adoption of this code of ethics for the employee.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? I have someone move this resolution, moved by Marilyn Cameron. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 14.3, housing programs in rural areas. Bernard.
Une demande au gouvernement du Québec pour rendre disponible aux municipalités rurales un programme encourageant la construction de logements et notamment de logements locatifs. So I read the resolution, whereas housing program, more specifically rental housing, is lacking in many areas, whereas the problem is more pronounced in rural areas, whereas government programs are geared more towards urban areas, whereas several homes have been lost due to the 2017 and 2019 floods, and that the displaced residents have taken new locations that are no longer available. This resolution is to request that the government of Quebec and Canada tailor a program specifically for rural portions of the province to assist building of rental units, and also will be sent to a copy of this resolution to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing Quebec, to the Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, Federal MNA André Fortin and MP Sophie Chatel, and the municipality of Charlotte.
Okay, thank you. And I think it was Andre Fortin who suggested that we have this resolution. Yeah. Which mayor brought this to our attention? Thank you, Bill McCleary. Excellent. Okay, Bill, would you like to move this resolution? Okay, opposed, and that carries. That's great. 14.4, the result of the call for tender, technical work and training of personnel, property assessment department. Bernard.
Par cette résolution, le conseil confirme par voie de résolution les ententes avec les fournisseurs de services au bénéfice du service d'évaluation de la MRC. La première, il y en aura trois. La première concerne l'exécution de travaux techniques et de support au personnel de la MRC, dont un appel d'offres public a été publié le 6 mai dernier. So, considering the public call for tender was launched on 6/2020, considering the closing of call for tender made on June 6, 2022, considering MRC has received one tender from Relève-Val, considering the analysis of the tender was made on June 7th, 2022, considering that the tender is in conformity in accordance with the official demand, considering the committee of analysis recommended its adoption, it is proposed and adopt to authorize the DG to sign an agreement with the service provider of Relève-Val in accordance with conditions mentioned in its tender. This agreement will be enforced for year 2022, 2023, 2024, and including an option for years 2025 and 2026.
Okay, any questions or comments? Moved by Mayor LaRiviere. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 14.5, agreement with Mr. Mario Brisebois, property inspector and service provider. Bernard.
Il y en aura une suivante qui suivra. Les deux ententes suivantes donc, concernent l'exécution d'inspection au bénéfice du service d'évaluation qui était jusqu'à ce jour effectué par la FQM. So, considering MRC Pontiac has more than 20,000 properties to be inspected by the assessment inspector at least once each year, and a large ratio of those properties, considering MRC Pontiac work are to fill the available position of inspectors in those hard time of labor shortage, considering MRC Pontiac needs an external support to execute the inspection backlogs. This resolution is to authorize the DG to sign the agreement with Monsieur Mario Brisemois for the realization of approximately 1,000 inspection in respect with Quebec's tendering rules. This agreement the agreement with the FQM for inspection will be stopped after the adoption of this resolution.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Can I have someone move this? Moved by Pro Warden Sandra Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. And 14.6, the entente avec Monsieur Marco Brunet, inspecteur en évaluation et fournisseur de services.
Essentiellement, c'est la même résolution. Ce sont deux individus. On a des ententes avec chacun des deux individus qui agiront comme inspecteur municipal. So it's quite the same resolution that this two guys, they are inspectors, and we will have an agreement with individually with both of them. So I can read it again, but it's the same resolution.
I think it's okay. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Someone like to move by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you, Bernard.
Oh, there's an
Oh,
other
yes,
item we just
14.7,
added,
we
yeah.
added tax sale resolution with Portage. Go ahead.
This resolution is just to authorize me or the warden to sign a deed for tax sales. It is in Portage Fort, and I have the lot number, so 3350632, and we need a resolution for that.
Okay, who would like to move this? Moved by Mayor Corey Spence, Lil Zalumet. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you, Bernard. We'll go on to Annie Vaillancourt, number 15, recommendations for COVID-19 financial aid, a resolution.
Yes, there are two recommendations. I have one, I know Kim has the other one. So one was for a software upgrade of our phone systems that will allow employees to be able to take phone calls directly from their computer. So that'll help for the employees who sometimes work from home. And that is $1,078.75. And the next one is, I'll let Kim.
Are we voting on these two together? Yes, eh? Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Following the renovations of a men's washroom into a laundry room wash station at the MRC and the construction of a few new offices in 2022, we were recommending additional work such as finishing the ceiling, adding shelving, locks for doors, windows for internal offices that don't have any outside lights. So this is for that work, and there was a total of $5,895.05.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Could someone move the resolution for those two items? Moved by Mayor Odie. I was just going to say Mayor Odie. Mayor Odie, go down from Waltham. All those in favor, sorry, Odie. All those in favor, opposed? Thank you. And now Annie is still standing, and you're going to do the finance report. Please, thank you.
Yes, okay, so for this month, right now, the MRC has accounts receivables at $2,574,078.14. And just to give you a little breakdown on that, because a lot of it comes from the business loans, we have flea loans that are $425,516. And then the emergency COVID flea loans, we have receivables for $466,037. And the FLS loans are $60,886. In our list of accounts payables to be paid this month is $158,758.01. And in our list of accounts that we paid in the last month are $253,903.41. There were FRR grants that were paid out. We also had the generator that was installed at the MRC, which was part of the COVID fund from the Mamash. some expenses with visage régionaux for different projects in economic development. So those are just the main hire that were paid. Also, we have travel expenses for last month for council, which are $1,257.57.
Did that include my trip to FCM?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, I would have been the bulk of that 1,000, yes. But anyways, where will that be reported?
Well, it's just part of our regular expenses. It's in
Okay,
the, financial statements as part of, there's a budget line for convention expenses.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments of any? Could someone move that resolution to approve per financial report moved by Mayor Donnie Gagnon? All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thanks, Annie and Kim. Great job. We'll go on to economic development, and Bernard Waugh will be reporting 17.1, revision of the cultural policy of the MRC Pontiac.
Oui, une invitation à soumettre une soumission sera envoyée à des fournisseurs de services. Les doit être préalablement par le conseil, donc autorisé. Juste pour votre information, la politique culturelle en vigueur est en vigueur depuis 2004. So considering that the MRC Pontiac thus recognizes the role of culture and its heritage in the development of its territory, considering that the cultural policy of the MRC Pontiac was adopted in 2004, considering that the MRC Pontiac has adopted its strategic plan in June 2021, which includes an action plan and the revision of the cultural policy of the MRC Pontiac, considering the money required to accomplish the task have been reserved in the cultural development agreement signed with the Ministère de la Culture, MCC du Québec, MCCQ, Culture et Communication du Québec. So this resolution is to authorize the call for offer to be issued for the revision of the cultural policy of the MRC Pontiac.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this resolution moved by Mayor Doris Ranger? All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you, Bernard. 17.2, the decision of the Cultural Follow-up Committee.
Oui, deux subventions tirées du Fonds de développement artistique récemment créé par la MRC ont été accordées à deux artistes de la MRC suite à un appel à projet artistique qui a été lancé le 4 avril dernier. So whereas the MRC Pontiac recognizes the role of art and craft in the development of its territory, whereas the resolution CM 2020-12-25 was passed at the regular Council of Mayor on December 16, 2020 to develop a new fund to support artists and artist-run centers in the MRC Pontiac, whereas the Regional Council of the MRC Pontiac approved by resolution CM 2022-03-16 the spring call for artists to the Creative Development Fund, whereas the call for artists took place between April 4 and May 13, 2022, whereas the Cultural Committee met on May 25th to analyze the submissions received, considering the recommendation of the Cultural Follow-up Committee. This resolution is to accept the recommendations to allocate the following two grants as proposed. So on stream 1, on the category named Collaborative Project, so a grant of $500 to Maurice O'Reilly. And the second grant on category of called concert and exhibition, so a grant of $650 to Ty Burgess. We need a resolution for that.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Have someone move that resolution, please? Moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. The investment committee recommendations, Bernard?
Il y a une résolution du conseil requise pour confirmer les recommandations du comité d'investissement à propos de 2 projets conformément à la politique de soutien aux entreprises, le PSE, considering that the investment committee has the responsibility applications under the MRC Pontiac politique de soutien aux entreprises, considering that the investment committee has the authority to grant loans under the common policy fleet FLS, considering that these files have been analyzed, the recommendation of the investment committee following the regular meeting of June 1st, 2022 are as follows. So the first one, MRC-CI-2022-06-03. This project has already been approved in 2021, but the proposal needs an extension of the realization of it due to non-availability of contractors. The investment committee recommends that the regional council of the MRC Pontiac approve the extension of the project underway, and this until September 1st, 2022. No grants are involved. And the second one, MRC-CI-2022-06-05. The investment committee recommends to the regional council of accepting a fleet loan of $19,500, an FLS loan of $13,000, and to award a grant of $20,000. A resolution for that is required.
Any comments or questions? I have someone move this resolution, please. Moved by Mayor Christine Francoeur. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Now donations and sponsors, 17.4.1. From Repeat des Joachim Community Celebration for St. John Baptist Day. Go ahead, Bernard.
Bon, c'est une résolution donc pour un don de $500 à la municipalité de Rapide des Joachim pour l'organisation de la fête de la Saint-Jean. So, a resolution to grant a donation of $500 to the municipality of Rapide des Joachim for its St. John Baptist Community Celebration.
Okay, any comments or questions? Could someone move this, please? Moved by Mayor Doris Ronche. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Go on now to 17.4.2, Quebec National Holiday, Bernard, at the Patro.
Oui, autoriser donc un don de $500 au Patro de Fort-Foulon pour l'organisation de la fête de la Saint-Jean qui comprend de la musique, un barbecue, une parade de bateau. So this resolution is to grant a donation of $500 to the Patro for its open house, which includes music, barbecue, and a boat parade at the Quebec National Holiday.
Okay. Would someone like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Jean-Louis Corriveau. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 17.4.3. The Journal du Point Reader's Day Lecture, the Reader's Choice Awards. Go ahead.
L'événement organisé traditionnellement, là, historiquement par le Journal de Pontiac va revenir cette année, là, le 20 septembre 2022. And that's why we receive a request for a donation. So this resolution is to authorize a grant of donation, to grant a donation of $500 to the Pontiac Journal for the organization of the event Reader's Choice Award that will be held on Tuesday, September 2022.
Okay. Someone like to move this? Moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 17.4.4, which we added in the Pontiac Scholarship Fund, and as I understand it, in this case, a technical change needs to be made to the qualification. Go ahead, Bernard.
Oui, c'est simplement une petite modification. Je vais la lire en anglais. It's related to a resolution we adopted on last March. So, just a second. I will read it. It is proposed and resolved that notwithstanding resolution CM 2022-03-19 adopted at the council sitting on March 16, 2022, the scholarships granted by the Pontiac Scholarship Fund through funding from the MRC donation and sponsorships program may be awarded to students pursuing training in any field of study. I think that it first time we specified the field of the, so there's no field to be allowed to receive that grant.
So we've opened it up.
Yeah.
Great. So would someone like to move this? Moved by Pro-Mayor Robin Zacharias. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. Thank you. Go on to 17.5, the MRC Pontiac Regional Art Collection Gallery Display. Bernard.
Oui, la présente est pour autoriser la disposition d'œuvres d'art acquises par les MRC, oui, et la disposition à l'intérieur même de la salle LC Gibbons et ce qui va aussi permettre dans le plan à la MRC de se joindre aux jours de la culture qui sont toujours prévus à la fin septembre. So considering that the MRC Pontiac recognizes the role of culture and its heritage in the development of its territory, considering the MRC Pontiac's regional arts collection policy, considering the development agreement, which plays an essential role for the cultural environment of its territory, this resolution is to pursue the work necessary for the development of the quality of the MRC art collection and exhibition. And furthermore, it is also to realize the works before Quebec's Cultural Days, end of September, in which MRC Pontiac will take part. And just for information, the money needed for that is already reserved in l'entente de développement culturel.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone like to move this resolution? Moved by Pro Warden Sandra Armstrong. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. Thank you, Bernard. So then 17.6.1, Part 2, FRR, Structural Project Support Program, the Chapeau Recreation Association.
Oui, les contraintes techniques exigent des modifications au projet déjà financé de Splash Pad qui est à Chapeau et nécessairement une augmentation des coûts supplémentaires du promoteur du projet, l'association récréative des Chapeaux, qui demande un ajustement de la contribution financière déjà accordée dans le cadre du programme FR2. So whereas the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing has entered into a financial agreement with the MRC Pontiac signed on March 2020, on March 31st, yes, 2020. Whereas the agreement called volet de soutien au développement des compétences locales and allows the realization of project according to the priorities established by the Regional Council for the year from April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. Whereas Resolution CM 2021-10-05, whereas the changes that are required to complete the project of the Chapeau Recreation Association, whereas the evaluation and recommendation were done by email by the analysis committee and an officer of the Economic Development Department for 2022. This resolution is to authorize to grant the increase of $71,875 to the Chapeau Recreation Association for a total grant of $135,982.27 for the Splash Pad project.
Thank you very much. Would someone like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Odie Godin. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. And Bernard, you had a lot of work to do tonight because in absence of an economic development director, you had to sort of take that place, and that was a lot of reporting. Thank you very much for that.
And just to remind that the economic development has a great team. So a part of those items were written by that team. So,
they gave you good preparation. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll go on now to our engineer, Kim Lesage, 18 Regional Infrastructure, 18.1 Library Hall Rental in Portage.
Notre première résolution, c'est considérant la location de nos immeubles à Portage du Fort. So this first resolution is concerning the rental of a building that we own in Portage. So we're the owner of the building at 28 Mill Street in Portage, also known as the Stone School. The Association des Artistes du Pontiac currently rents that main building, but there's also an annex building at the back that is not part of that rental agreement. So the Pontiac Association has proposed to rent the annex behind the gallery for its use when they need more space for classes or workshop. So this resolution is to prepare a rental agreement for the use of the annex building at a cost of $25 per day as needed.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Any questions or comments? All right, you need a resolution, correct? Moved by Mayor Lynn Cameron. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 18.2, the 2022 PPJ grant request. Kim?
Cette résolution, c'est pour faire une demande d'aide financière au MTQ pour l'entretien de la route verte de la cycloparc PPJ. So this is for a grant application for our maintenance work for the cycloparc PPJ bike path. So we're going to propose to submit a financial request to the MTQ for their Vélos 3 program for the maintenance of the PPJ for la route verte bike path, as we have been doing for many, many years. The program application requires a resolution from council for the maintenance and improvement project. As per our budget, we can apply for up to $250,000 as a contribution from our MRC budget, and the other 50% would be covered by this grant by the MTQ. So this is a resolution to apply for this program.
Okay, moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 18.3, the fragmentation of PPJ property in Campbell's Bay. Go ahead, Kim.
On a une résolution devant nous ce soir pour le morcellement d'un morceau de terrain qui appartient à la MRC, un morceau de la PPJ. So the owner of 65 Riverfront in Campbell's Bay wishes to acquire a small portion of the Cycloparc PPG land so that her backyard, including an existing fence that she has on our property and a shed that's currently on our property, it's at the top of a slope leading down to the PPJ trail. This portion of land is about 330 square meters. It's not used by the users of PPJ. It can be used by cyclists or snowmobilers in the winter on the trail because of its geometry and also the presence of the existing fence and shed. And therefore, its fragmentation would have no impact on the use of the trail itself or of our regional park. So it would be recommended to sell this portion of land to cover the land value, the notary fees and registration fees, so for a total of $4,000, and that the survey fees would be the responsibility of the owner. It would also be proposed that the Director General be authorized to sign the deed of sale on behalf of the MRC when that comes up.
Okay, and Mayor Beauregard, you're in line with this in your council and everything? Okay, excellent. So we have to moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. So then we go on to 18.4, support for MRC Val Saint Francois, request of Mamash for an extension of the PRABAN program. What is the PRABAN program? Do you know?
Yeah, I'll explain it. Nous avons une résolution pour demander une extension au programme du MAMASH. C'est le programme PRABAM pour les infrastructures municipales, les bureaux municipaux. So it's a resolution of support that we received this resolution from Val Saint Francois MRC requesting the MAMASH to extend the PRABAM program. So this is a program with an envelope of $90 million to provide municipalities with a population of 5,000 people or less to enable them to carry out work in their municipal buildings. As part of the program, the work has to be carried out between June 1st, 2021 and May 31st, 2023. However, considering the lack of manpower and available construction companies or contractors, it is proposed and it is by the Council of Mayor to support this resolution to ask the MAMACH, the Ministère des Affaires d'Habitation, to extend the deadline by at least 1 year for municipalities to use this program.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Would anyone like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Christine Francoeur. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Great job, Kim. Thank you very much. And now Annie is coming back up because there was some resolution that we need to move and she'll explain what it is.
Yes, we pass this every year to pay the bills in July since there's no council. C'est juste une résolution pour payer les factures du mois de juillet, s'il vous plaît.
Okay, good that you remembered to do that. Okay, any questions? I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, moved by Mayor Colleen Riviere. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. Thank you, Annie. Thank you very much. Now we go to our manager of territory.
Yes, hello again. Bonsoir
Mr.
tout le monde.
Jason Durant, 19.1, Amherst Hawini, transitional regime for the management of flood zones, riverbanks, and the littoral.
Oui, donc c'est une résolution d'appui à la MRC de Matawini, donc en lien avec le nouveau régime transitoire de gestion des zones inondables. Donc, a resolution in support to the MRC of Matawini regarding the new transitory regime concerning the gestion of the flood zone. So in other words, this is asking the government to reevaluate the process regarding the application for this bylaw. Donc, en gros, c'est de demander au gouvernement de réévaluer le processus en lien avec l'application de ce règlement. This is to bring easiness to its application and comprehension. Donc, c'est dans le but d'apporter une facilité et une compréhension à l'application.
Okay, it's a good thing, I think, to support because we have issues in our own MRC with this. Yes, anybody like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. And then we go on to 19.2, Action Development of the Forestry Sector. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, well, actually, we had the resolution earlier.
That's what we moved.
Yeah,
Pardon me, we jumped
no
the gun.
problem.
Oh, well, good, thank you. 19.3, we have a riff for the table of consultation for the Ottawa River.
Oui, donc le ministère de l'Environnement il a proposé une table de concertation de la rivière des Outaouais pour la mise en œuvre d'une approche intégrée pour établir des priorités des actions afin de protéger et restaurer la santé de la rivière des Outaouais. So the Ministry of the Environment has proposed an Ottawa River issue table to implement an integrated approach to establish priorities and actions to protect and restore the health of the Ottawa River. Donc, considering that a seat is reserved for every MRC that borders the river, donc considérant qu'il y a un siège qui est réservé pour chacune des MRC riveraines de la rivière des Outaouais, on propose d'avoir Kerry Richardson de représenter la MRC à cette table. Donc, it's proposed to have Kerry Richardson to represent the MRC at this table.
And did she say yes? We just want to check before we give her the job. Okay, who would like to move it? Moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. And then 19.4, your last item of the night, orientation for a conservation strategy and decisional diagram for the PRMHH. What is the PRMHH?
So that's the original plan for wetlands and water. So en autre mot, the next step is adoption of the major orientations. Donc, la prochaine étape dans le processus de l'élaboration du plan régional des lieux humides et hydriques, c'est l'adoption des grandes orientations de la stratégie de conservation de la MRC. Donc, considering that these main orientations have been presented to the elected officials, donc, du fait qu'ils ont été présentés, ces orientations-là ont été présentées aux maires, il est donc proposé d'adopter ces grandes orientations-là et de poursuivre avec la production des cartes en utilisant les cibles présentées. So, in other words, since these has been presented, like I said earlier, it's proposed to adopt the major orientation and as well to continue the production of the maps using the targets presented.
Okay, excellent. Any questions or comments? Would someone like to move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Doris Ranger. All those in favor, Opposed, and that carries. Thank you very much.
All right,
Great
thank you,
job,
everybody.
Jason Durant. And could we just say, is there anything on the miscellaneous, Bernard Walk?
But just a reminder, the next public council will be held at the Elsie Gibbons Room.
Wow.
The first time since February 2020, yes, more than 2 years ago. So
That's amazing.
we come back.
If all goes well.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. And thank you very much, Bernard. And also just to say to everyone, happy Saint Jean Baptiste and also Canada Day. And I hope everyone has a rest and good health through the month of July. And thank you to all of our hardworking staff. Thank you, Bernard. I'll look at everyone in August, if not before. Maybe see you in a few parades. So who would like to move? Mayor Russell, would you like to move that we close the meeting? Would you like to move adjournment?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Okay. I wonder if it's going to be unanimous. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thanks, Doug. Thank you, everybody, and good night. It's a wrap.